Charles, how you doing, man? What's up with you?
How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm glad we get to do this again, man. The first one was great, but technical issues that happen to the best of us.
Yes. It was such improv. What was really annoying was I was locked out of the account because I couldn't remember the damn password for the Skype stuff, because I know I have a Silver Phoenix account under Skype, but it's under my college email. And it was like, wait a second, I haven't been in college since 1999, and I've always had my systems just do it automatically, or it's just
Yeah.
set up, and would clone my systems usually. So I didn't worry about the damn password. And then finally, it's like, okay, I'm on the road and I'm on another one of these things, and they try to reach out, and I'm like, I'm an idiot. But then they had me call me on a phone, and I was able to do the Skype through a phone call. So, that's what happened there. And then this time, it's like, okay, let me do it. And I changed the password, and I must have mistyped it because it wouldn't let me in. I tried to change it again, and then my backup email wasn't working. And then it said, no, you're evil. You're doing this too many times. Get out of here. Go away. You're
It's a hacker.
You're a third world hacker. You're trying to destroy us. So I said, you have to wait a day. And so I waited, 2 days, and now everything's fine. But it was more than having to clean up cat poo.
Oh, dude, yeah, no, I hear you. But shit, man, it happens to the best of us. I forgot completely that deleting because how we had it set up was that temporary Skype account that I sent you the link for, and for whatever reason it didn't save itself. Like I saw the video, and then once I canceled the call altogether, it just deleted itself. So I was like, damn.
Yeah, thanks, Microsoft. You know why? You want to know what Bill Gates' wife said to Bill Gates on their wedding night?
What's up?
Oh my God! Now I know why you call it Microsoft.
Oh no. Hey, you know what? It don't even matter. He's one of the richest 10 people in the world. It does not matter for a guy. You can be ugly, you can be fat, you can have a Microsoft. But if you're worth a couple $1 billion, it doesn't matter. You'll still pull in a Scarlett Johansson without issue.
Wait, what's Scarlett? Oh, is Scarlett Johansson a multi-billionaire?
No, I'm saying you could still pull in Scarlett Johansson with all those characteristics and $1 billion.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson seems like a neat individual. I'd like to, it would be interesting to just be her acquaintance or something, just hang out. Or what's her name, Margot Robbie? It's like, some of these actresses, they just seem like they would be neat people. Like I watch this sometimes, I watch some of these other YouTube shows where they're guests, where they're just normal people, and it is so funny that I just can't stop laughing at what happens to these poor boobs.
Oh, yeah, but they've got to be normal people though, right? They're not like grown in a lab. They have childhoods. They develop, I would assume, normally, since most child actors don't really make it into adulthood acting. So one would assume that they had a normal upbringing, and that normalcy would rub off a bit regardless of how famous and successful you become.
Right. But, in some ways it's kind of difficult too, because if you really think about it, being praised and told, oh, you're liked here and you're liked there, and being, idolized and adorized and having fans, and it's basically because of a performance, not who you are. And then when times change and you don't look the right part, or people are tired or whatever. I've seen, and I've known some talent who were, quote, big or interesting in the past, and it's been horrible for them to deal with the real world. There was this one individual I know, and he used to work for some of the stars dealing with their accounting, and some of them would make the money, never pay a bill.
Immediately. immediately spend it.
Well, no, not exactly that. What they would do is they would have this accounting firm literally get their mail, and any bill they got, mortgage,
Oh,
rent, utilities, cell phone, they would just pay it. And so
I would just,
the talent never had to deal with that. So if you never develop those skills dealing with it, and let's say this was your life from childhood to maybe 30 or 35, all of a sudden Hollywood doesn't want you for whatever reason, or you're in your 60s and Hollywood doesn't want you anymore.
really don't want.
Right. And you burnt through your money and you don't have any money left and you're just all poor. Like you're like normal universe now. I mean, what type of hell would you be having to go through?
I mean, at least like the Scarlett Johanssons of the world, at least back in like the early '80s and stuff, at least they could like maybe hook up with another famous actor that can go into that kind of like Gray Fox era of his acting career and like live off of that. But
Right.
if a guy became irrelevant, the guy's fucked.
Yeah. And another thing is, and then you got the really smart ones like Harrison Ford was smart. Again, Margot Robbie is smart. She has her own production company. And so, these others who really succeed, in my opinion, go beyond just the one trick pony. And it becomes, they basically make a living instead of doing a gig that they live off of. And yeah, they still may do it. Like some people may think of Roby as always Wolves of Wall Street or Harlequin or others. It just depends. But it's just a fascinating world. And I think another new thing that's happening too with the event of British style TV, where you have the short seasons, like 6 episodes or 13 episodes, things
Oh,
like that.
oh God.
Well, with like, especially with the Netflix stuff and these short episodes, I
Okay, yeah,
feel
see that.
it's making it a lot easier for people not to get typecast because you see them for a couple of months, or if you binge them in 1 or 2 days, you just don't permanently see them as character X. Like
No,
for the
you're right.
longest time, Gillian, the girl from X Files,
Yeah.
Gillian. Yeah, I mean, I would, I always see her as the X Files girl, and no matter what show she was the X Files girl because she was in that show for so long. Meanwhile, the other one, Karen Gillian, who was a companion Doctor Who, I don't see her as a companion from Doctor Who in everything she's in. I see her as this actress who's playing all these other roles. So
Yeah,
that's all.
and actors have gotten really good at that. Have gotten better at it because I remember listening to I don't think it was Us magazine, but I
Yeah.
know it was an audio interview, and they were talking to Will Smith, and they were talking about, so what was it like going on The Fresh Prince, and he recollects the producer telling him, it's like, hey, we're going to give you your name, so be sure to pick out a good name because this is who you're going to be remembered as. And
Yeah.
he was like, well, my name's Will Smith then, because y'all gonna know who I am. And I was like, that's smart because I don't know who Carlton is. He's Carlton. He's no one
Yeah.
else. But Will Smith is Will Smith,
Interesting.
which one with Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I think that was like an '80s show, wasn't it?
Yeah, 80s or early 90s. Yeah.
Yeah. So even then, like an all black cast or a major, like 99.99999% black cast, like that was a pretty big deal back then. So for the producer to just be like, you can have your own name, I don't know if he was just like a really cool dude for his time, but
Yeah.
I would assume it's like you're Javon or you're Marcus or something. It's like to give the dude his name, I was like the more I thought about it, I was like, that's actually kind of interesting that that happened. He must have been like a really cool dude for the time.
Oh, interesting. That is quite fascinating.
Yeah, but even so, like talking about Doctor Who, what Amy Pond, I think her name's Karen.
Gillian,
Yeah, Gail. Yeah. She plays. Who does she play in Avengers?
the creepy robot girl who's blue.
Yeah, the sister. Yeah, I like. I mean, I knew she was her. She looks like her if she was bald and blue. I mean, there's not much that. But yeah, she was easily maybe apart from Billy Piper, since Billy Piper was one of the first companion of the new spinoff. Well, I wouldn't call it a spinoff, but revamp of the series.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Karen
Say,
is one of the more memorable companions on the Doctor. Amy and Rory Pond. I mean, that's
oh
a
yeah,
staple. It's a staple. But she's done just fine making it out of the Doctor Who universe.
yes. But
I mean,
I'm
hell,
wondering.
Rory too. Rory too. He was DC's Legend of Tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
uh,
and I think that's just the thing. Actors have become really good at not only perfecting their roles, because actors, not maybe a little bit before Fresh Prince, but like I watch a lot of old shows and movies during quarantine, and a lot of these old actors sucked by today's comparisons. I mean, I'm sure
wow.
they were winning Oscars and Emmys in their time period, but they wouldn't even make it to the casting couch now.
Oh my God.
Oh no, it's bad. Like it's almost porn acting. Like it's almost
No.
that bad. Yeah, some of them. Now there's some gems, but and it's mostly the girls. Unfortunately, I mean, it really is. They just seem to grab the hottest girl within the right age demographic. It's like, here, sweetie, say these lines. We'll make you a star. And they didn't really give her that many acting lessons. So she was kind of a bimbo, but she was actually a bimbo.
Well, another thing too is maybe the range of craft that the person may have. And now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of the British actors tend to have more very classical training and the equivalent of Broad or Shakespearean training. So, for example, with Gillian, she's very versatile. She's able to do a lot of different roles, and it's like Harrison Ford, or whatnot. But somebody like William Shatner is just William Shatner pretending to be
You're
somebody else. You always
right.
see him as William Shatner. You don't see him as a character. While this other guy, did you ever see Star Trek Continues?
I know of it, yes.
Yeah. Well, the guy, I am, oh God, oh no, I'm not
Hey,
saying.
Charles.
Look, yeah.
Yeah, you're tapping and I can't. Your mic's picking up really loud. It's overpowering your voice.
Okay, sorry about that.
No,
But
you're fine, man.
yeah, but oh, what is it? Vic Walter. Yeah, Vic Walter. Um, when I watched it, I didn't see Vic Walter, playing a character. I felt like I was watching Captain Kirk, but he was a little different. That's how good Vic
Yeah,
Walter is as an actor. So he didn't feel like he was playing William Shatner playing Kirk, but he felt like what you expect Captain Kirk to be, and that's why I think the Star Trek Continues was just so delightful and fascinating.
yeah. I felt kind of like that when I was watching again Doctor Who, Matt Smith. But when he
Yeah,
had the role in Pride and Prejudice, and he was the priest, I expected him to like jump out the carriage, and like talk with his hands, talk really fast. That real ADHD kind of personality he portrayed as the 11th Doctor. But then he
right.
came out all proper and prayed. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? This is not Matt Smith. This is not the
Yeah,
Matt Smith I know. I
yeah,
expected that almost crack induced Matt Smith fast talking with his hands, distracted at everything that came around, but he was a proper actor. And I was like, that's
yeah.
fucking weird. I don't like this.
No, no. I mean, well, but that's a good thing,
It
But
is, but it threw me for a loop because that's what I was
oh,
expecting. I was still in that mentality.
yeah, you know.
because they didn't really start discerning themselves until around that time. So you
Yeah.
expected, it's like, okay, Matt, you were Doctor Who, you did it. You ready to retire? And he's like, yes, I shall forever be remembered as the 11th Doctor, and that's all that I need to say. Bow ties are cool, peace out. But no, he keeps going for more stuff, and it's great.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, and that's what's so cool, and even with Billy Piper, seeing her in Penny Dreadful was just
Yes.
phenomenal and
Oh,
frightening at the time.
and in such an iconic like movie as Penny Dreadful. I mean, it's a book, right? It's a book before it was a movie. Whichever
Oh,
it was, it's iconic. Like it's an iconic story.
yeah. Well, Penny Dreadful was
Yeah.
created.
So I mean,
No, I'm listening.
no, go for it. Go for it. Because mine will definitely coincide with what you're about to say.
No, but the thing with Penny Dreadful was, I liked how the first series had a lot more teeth to it too. The stories were interesting, the characters evolved, and it was, very interesting, and it was more like bad horror instead of universal horror. And what I call bad horror is that more horrible things happen to people just in general than it does. It was more akin to American Horror Story, the feel of it, which I
Uh
understand. And the ending, I was disappointed, but I understood why they did it and why they ended the series. So it was a respectable ending. But I saw the new one, and I was very disappointed because it did not feel like it was really Legends. It felt like they were using the same actress to play all these different monster parts, or different parts just to save money. They felt like it was being, very political instead of very story oriented. And the characters felt like they were devolving instead of evolving. And it was just. I watched it. I didn't enjoy it. It was okay. I watched the second season. They're going to make it. It's almost like Star Trek Discovery. I'm like, ugh, it's
huh.
painful to watch. I'm in agony watching it. I'll watch it. It's because you're supposed to. It's Star Trek. If you don't watch it, you're a bad person. Yeah, if you don't
So you're
watch it,
not
don't.
into Star Trek Discovery.
No. Oh man, you know what it is? Is
Interesting, because I
Dunham.
like it. Like,
God bless you. Dunham can take lessons from. I would no. Um, William Shatner as Kirk can take lessons from Michael for interrupting. It's almost like chain of command. It's a starship. It's not like you're at your friend's Starbucks, trying to discuss how to make a board game.
but I do agree. The first and second season, it's like they were trying to get their bearings, but I really feel like this third season they found themselves.
To me, the third season is like, hey, let's just pretend we're Star Wars. So and instead of being Star Trek, it's War Trek, or it's it just it's like, oh yeah, these people like Tatooine, except they look like us, the aliens. Oh, we're a bunch of dorks,
Yeah,
and
well, I mean, they
of
did
course
just
my
come out of
mind's
they did just come out of a wormhole, and
yeah,
society has been degraded and regressed by hundreds of thousands of years by the burn. So, I
yeah.
mean, for we can forgive them for the first couple of episodes of
Well,
season three.
you know what caused the burn, right?
I seen Thursday. Let's try not to spoil it, just in case. Like maybe you'll pull in a group and everybody's like they ruined
No,
Discovery for
no,
us.
I'm spoiling it. What happened was Bernie Sanders got involved, and that's what caused the burn to Star Trek because they realized they're all pretending to be Republicans and they didn't know it. And so all the Sanders were like, let's blow up these jag jerks, these pretentious dopes. Oh
Now,
my
I do remember when I first started watching Discovery, I believe it was the
yeah.
first or the second episode, and Burnham was talking about where she talked to Sarek, and Sarek told her that if they want the Klingons' respect, that they have to attack them first. And then she was talking to the Admiral about that, and she's like, "We got to attack them. They're Klingon. It's in their nature." And then he was like, I'm surprised that a person, especially you, would talk down about someone's perceived nature." And I'm like, did you just pull a race card on the black
Yes.
chick at a spaceship? That's,
Yep.
I understand it's 2020 or 2017 or whatever, and you gotta come out like that, because the original Star Trek was no, regardless of your race, your ethnicity, your species, gelatinous, silicon, or carbon based, we're all sentient people in this great universe and we have to work together. I understand that's the message of the show, and that's always been the message of the show. But did a white guy just pull race on a black chick trying to save the ship from what's happening, from the ambassador of fucking of oh god, Vulcan, the ambassador of Vulcan? It's like she's not just haphazardly pulling, hey, these people are violent by nature, so we have to meet violence with violence. It's like she's not making assumptions. She's making an educated educated stance from a person on a planet who has diplomatic ties with the same race. It's like, this ain't about race. This is about information you may not be privy to at this time. But I was
Right.
like, out the gate, they're like, how could a black person dare say that another race or that another species is more drawn to violence, especially with the history of European. It's like it was almost like she was giving him the, like, reading her the act. It's like he was really driving it into her. It's like, I got you. It's like I canceled you, Burnham. Sit down.
Oh my God.
It was funny though. Like
Yeah.
it really did throw me for a loop.
It's like, come on, Burnham. Jesus. And then of course it is her who's in charge. She's the one who time traveled everybody. She's the one. It's like, hey, look at me. It's the Burnham show. And anybody who has more than 2 or 3 lines of dialogue, unless
Oh,
it's
dude, right.
or
She
something,
she
they die horribly. If anybody
and she
stands up for something different, they
she
die horribly.
she even addressed it in season 3 when they sprayed her with that truth serum. She was like,
Yeah.
I always put myself in it. She's like, I always put myself in everything. I always have to be the center of attention. I'm like, holy shit, this is meta as fuck.
That's great. I mean,
She's
that just
calling
cracked.
out her Yeah, she's calling out her own character flaws that aren't actually hers. They're written about her. And she's like calling herself out. Like it's the definition of meta. Like it's actually a little too meta for me. I was a little uncomfortable.
Really? I thought it was
I was
funny.
like, yeah, I don't know. It was funny, but acknowledging stuff about yourself leads to that being like fixed and resolved. So what if half a season to a season of character development was reduced down to one psychedelic trip, which that happens. If you do enough mushrooms or enough acid, you find out shit about yourself and you're forced to face it. And then you'll either act like it never happened and be like completely destroyed from the inside for the remainder until you accept it, or you do a complete 180 as a personality. I was like, are they going to cop out and just make Burnham a better character off of one psychedelic trip?
They might.
That was the point. I was like, guys, no, we need to this needs to be natural growth. I mean, I'm all up for dosing everybody. I'm down with dosing everybody with psilocybin and making them like realize their demons and work it out so we can all get back to being a better planet. But this is a TV show. This isn't the real world. I need my episodes.
Thank God. Yeah. I would like to see Star Trek go back to like episodic adventures instead of just one giant storyline.
No, I like the one giant storyline. It's consistent.
Okay.
I personally, I personally, with long forum shows such as Star Trek, because this could easily go into 17 seasons if they wanted to.
Yeah.
I don't like Monster of the Week for something that long. If this was 3 or 4 episodes, and then they jump off to now we're going to Star Trek, the other ship.
Right.
Uh, it's like we can do 3 seasons of Monster of the Week. I'm fine with that. But once we're into long form storytelling, it needs to be long
Right.
form storytelling with a possibility of a couple of filler episodes.
Okay. That's interesting. You know, I do have a fantasy. Like, if I got stupid wealthy, I'd like pay like 5 or 6 billion for Star Trek just so I could do what I want with it, and and I might make it worse or make it better, or make it in a way that I like it, or make it the way that old fans like it, or it would just be interesting. Like what I would love to do is make a series of quote it's done in Kirky's days. It's a ship that nobody else knows. They go through the same type of weird adventure stuff, but things don't work out as well, but they still kind of work out. And they're always hearing about the Starship Enterprise and Captain Kirk and whatnot. And this crew like half hates their ship because they're like always getting the limelight, and they end up getting like the dog duties and
Hey,
just the other like hell stuff. I mean, but they work
Charles,
hard. Well,
Charles, are you sitting down?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. You do know that there's a show exactly like that called Star Trek Lower Decks, right?
Wait, what? Oh, I haven't
You
given it a chance
literally,
yet.
yeah, it's the animated series. It's literally
Okay.
that, like verbatim.
That's hysterical. No
Like,
way.
no, like I'm seriously, I'm sitting here. You're describing this show, and I'm like, he's fucking with me, right? Because you're not missing a beat. Like
Yeah.
how the Enterprise will go to this first planet for first contact. This ship follows up and brings all the paperwork that they need to sign for second contact.
Oh, okay. Wow, I
And it's
wasn't
like
even
no,
thinking of that aspect, but wow, that's kind of cool.
and the ship's always breaking. Like the captain's trying to be like super memorable because she's a female captain, and
Yeah.
she feels like she needs to double down to be remembered half as much as Kirk. And yeah, no, like you literally just described Star Trek Lower Decks.
That's hysterical.
And it doesn't even follow around the bridge crew. It follows around like the ensigns and the cadets, like because they like live in a hallway and they have their own little bunk beds and stuff, and they run
Yeah.
around fixing ship and shit.
Have you seen The Mandalorian?
Oh hell yes, dude! I
Right.
can't. Woo.
Yeah. Now you know why that one works is they do what Lucas meant for Star Wars to be. It's a boy show.
Right?
That's cowboys in space. It's a western in space. And
Yeah, it's a
that's
space western.
right. And Star Trek is basically a western also, and they keep forgetting that it's a western, where it's gun, it's borderline gunslinging, stuff. But I think
Yeah,
once they you know and I think yes, there was political stuff in Star Trek in the 60s, and even in the 90s. It's like I watched Next Generation, and oh my god, it's like I'm dying of boredom, just dying to death of watching it. But you're watching it because there was nothing else to watch at the time. You didn't have
yeah. It's
serious
like
internet.
there are five. There are like five. There are like five TV channels.
Yeah, yeah, and internet wasn't worth crap. It was like a dial
You had
up.
to pay by the megapixel, and you had to pay by the megabit.
Yes,
Ooh, I could not imagine paying by the megabit.
right.
That's like realizing as an adult that the teachers made you sit down in silent lunch for 30 minutes. You could only eat and not talk to your friends. It's like, how the fuck did I let them get away with that?
Wait, you went to Catholic school?
Oh no, we're in the South.
Okay.
The South talk to the Catholics. It's like that's a pretty good idea there. I think I might borrow it.
Oh my God, that's weird.
Yeah, because I remember like seventh grade would fuck up. So now 7 through 12 would just have to sit through quiet, silent lunch. And like
Right.
thinking about it, I'm like, who the fuck are these people? These private school, elementary school principals and teachers is like silent lunch. And I didn't even do anything. This is a communist society where you all get punished as a team. What the fuck is this? But I mean, as a kid, you just sat there and you just took it. You're just like, well, I guess this is how the world works. The big people tell the little people what to do, and there's nothing the little people can do about it.
Wow.
But I mean, same thing with megabits per second. You sit there, maybe YouTube just came out, and you're like, well, YouTube came out in like 2006. But let's say your friend sent you a video, and it happened to be 30 minutes long, and you didn't know that was a gigabyte. And they're like, well, a gigabyte is 1,000 megabytes, and if you do $5 per megabyte, that's $5,000, Mr. Charles. It's like, well, hold the fuck on. And back then you're just like, well, I guess that's just how it works nowadays. But now you'd be like, $5,000 for the internet. You can go fuck yourself. That's what you can do. $5,000.
I'd be like, oh my God, I feel like I'm on the dumb list.
Right.
Wow.
I guarantee you this is what healthcare is going to be like in 20 years. Well, you can't have health insurance because you smoked. Right now you're just like, well, I guess that's my fault for being a dirty smoker and I have no one to blame but myself. 20 years they're gonna be like, you go fuck yourself. I'll inhale a whole 6-pack right here and you're not gonna do jack shit but give me my health insurance. I will die in your lobby while inhaling cigarettes, and you're still going to pay my hospital bill. That's what you can do for me.
My God. This is hysterical. I can't stop laughing.
Because honestly, because I know we haven't really talked about who you are, and I mean to do that, but
yeah, that's fine.
Besides with my friend Justin, like, this is what a podcast is for me. It's like I bring you on because I find you so interesting that I spray paint a white wall black so it looks like I'm in a studio, haul a bookcase across the house, stack it with books, put up a camera, and talk to you for 2 hours or so. But I've got all these things like all these different stories, like Harry Styles wears a dress and the left is silently trying to take masculinity away from America. It's like, no, the fuck they're not. The Irish wore kilts and they were some of the manliest fuckers out there. Shut up.
Oh my God.
I'm seriously thinking about just sitting down, me, myself, and I, with a couple of bullet point stories I want to just rant about and then scream into the microphone for an hour.
Yeah, well, that's what YouTube's all about. We all know that.
It really is. It really is. And the thing is, I think I can make it off of that shit too.
That is so funny.
But anyway, this is your episode. We need to get back to you. Tell everybody about yourself.
Okay.
Who are you? What do you do? And how'd you get where you are?
Oh my God, I got to get myself in the right frame of mind.
I know. Horrible segue, but it has to be done or I'm just going to keep going.
Okay. Oh my God, I'm so entertained. I make comic books and board games. So, and it's fun. But God, I can't stop laughing. It's just out of control. Oh my God. I should just come to Mississippi for a day just to hang out.
Oh no, Alabama, dude. Do not compare us to those swamp-ridden heathens.
That's right. We met at Soda.
We may be a little The majority may be a little too comfortable around our cousins, but you will not dare degrade us to those swamp critters.
Wow.
Not really. Ironically, ironically, there's another state that's like way worse with cousin marriages and cousin fucking than Alabama. But we still take the stick for that one. So
Wait,
I don't
what?
really get that. Yeah, I don't want to get into it, but it's true. It's true. I can't remember which one. Quote me on it. It's true. But go ahead. Go ahead.
You piqued my curiosity. What's going on with that? I got to hear the whole story. Tell me all the juice.
I wanted to say North Carolina, but I don't think it's North Carolina because you can't be as racist as North Carolina and then fuck cousins continuously. That's too many bad things for one state to be able to hold. So I can't say it's North Carolina.
Oh my God. That I can't stop laughing. I got a headache from laughing so hard.
In good conscience, I cannot pin both of those stereotypes on North Carolina.
Okay. Well,
I'm killing him.
Go on.
All right. So you're a comic book artist. Charles, please, we have to do this.
I'm worse. I'm a publisher. So what I do is I'll come up with different stories, and then figure out a way to make it work. And oh my God, I can't stop laughing. Oh Jesus Christ. And Silver Phoenix, who the company is owned by my mom, will have several people work on it. I can't even focus. I'm laughing too hard.
I've ruined everything.
That's okay. Board games, yes. I'm making a new board game, Outer Planet Panic. I'm working with what's his name? He lives in Alabama. Tom Green.
Really? I will have to talk to Mr. Green. I was unaware of this.
Yes. And here's the good part. If you talk to him, he'll be the one who takes over the conversation. But basically, I was hired to do the art originally, and as the story got on, started creating a very innate storyline with the people, the characters, and everything else. And now, we're getting ready to play test it and see where we can go with it. And I'm really excited about where things are starting to go with it. I'm starting to work with Nayland. What's her name? Well, her name is Nayland. So if you Facebook stalk me, you could see who it is. But it's a lot of fun. Basically, Outer Planet Panic is where archaeology meets with alien artifacts. And the main goal of the game is that we all work together to eventually stab each other in the back.
Okay. Now, is that just like Russia, China, the U.S., and Japan are all like doing this international thing, like interplanetary thing? Because not one country can afford it. And so it's not like countries stabbing the back of another country. It's just normal, just human greed and jealousy.
Well, no, it's basically there was a great galactic war, and you have these multiple races who are fighting until this strange alien artifacts were found, and they realized we're a second generation race, including humans, and all humans now get along because in 3027 gender was banned by the UN, and so when it was born through CRISPR, was born either long urethred or short urethred. You were not allowed to be sexed, and also the need for sex was literally engineered out of us. So even though that people can either look male or female, depending on their choice, uh, it's completely polymorphic. So let's say they were going to a certain planet and it's a female race primarily who are in power, and the males are just docile dummies like this spider ant race. Well, then the crew will use CRISPR in about 2 weeks. They'll all be short urethers, and then the stronger melanin you are with this certain race, the more that they'll deal with you. On a different planet, the planet of androids, uh, you could be whatever you prefer, and so on and so forth. So it's very rare and almost considered aberrant to be sexed. It's almost creepy and alien with the way the race is, and the way that human is now spelled. It's HUMIN. Because to have man and everything is just wrong and evil. Also religion is basically in non-existence. It's just a thought of science first. Everyone is created in clone tanks, and it's you have clone families and a very strong genetic manipulation. They also have what is called quantum recorders. So your mental state and who you are can be recorded, and if your body is destroyed, you can have a new one created, and it is quantum imprinted, but you do not own the genetic material. It's owned by the company, and you have to work X amount until it's paid off. It's very rare when people own their own genetic material. Now, there are some factions who have broken off, who become single worlders, and they also reproduce the old-fashioned way, and they allow themselves to be sexed, but they're very cautious about it. It's very looked down upon, but they are treated as equals depending on certain missions. So that's the humans, or humans, HUMINs. Then you got a fish type race, and they kind of look like a cross between anglerfish and mermaids. But they got the head of an anglerfish, these thin, creepy bodies, stuff. Very aquatic, very solitary, very predatory. And with their race, they almost reproduce by infecting things, and then when they come out, they have higher intelligence and higher things. And when some of the higher races started coming, they quickly evolved to a full sentient spacefaring race. They tend to be very solitary, though they will work together when needed for a greater goal. So on and so forth. So you got these different wacky races. You got an android race, you got an insect race, you got the fish race, you got the human race. You have a giant sentient multi-bacteria race. That's this oozing, floating, telepathic glob of goo that oozes around. I mentioned the android race. Oh, and the undead race, which is an offshoot of the humans race, the necrotics, the necronecrotics. And the necronecrotics, their deal is where the normal humans have a mechanical nanites that assist them. This group experimented with biological nanites. And one of the programs they put them in is help us survive any environment. And so what the nanites did was kill their body and basically resurrect them. So if they don't have the need to breathe, don't have the need to eat, don't have the need for X, Y, and Z, then they are perfect to go on nearly any planet and any environment.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So you could theoretically implement an action where one of the necronecrotics depressurizes the entire ship and everybody else suffocates but him because he's fine.
Correct. But This,
Interesting.
yeah, this is not that type of game. With this game, there's a peace treaty, and everybody has agreed to, and resources are tight. There's a main galactic government, and all the races have agreed not to war with each other, but to dig up all these artifacts for educational purposes and for bettering the land. Now, that's the news story that's out. The real purpose is to build the ultimate device and take over the galaxy. Now, you may have something I need, and I'll be your friend. And I may even be your friend after I get what I need. But the moment I have all the parts from the ultimate device, I take over the galaxy, and I'm it.
Okay. I like this.
Yeah, yeah. We even have some funny cards that deal with things like the way we do the rounds is the galactic governor always has a favor. So their race gets to go first, has first rights, first dibs, first test of things. And after a full cycle goes around, you have 4 people playing. And I'm the galactic governor this time. And now I give you the chip. You're the galactic governor. So you get to move your people first. And you have the first chance to activate your device, so on and so forth. So we have cards. So basically, it's an engine building game, which is the ultimate device, and a deck building game where you start to, get more and more power, more influence, more money, the more of the correct things you collect, to where you can almost be undefeatable. And with 3 players, it takes about 20 rounds, cycles to play. With 4 players, it takes about 15. And it ranges from an hour and a half to 2.5 hours. And it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it.
Yeah. And Tom Green originally came up with the mechanics. And I'm also working with Jerry Jackson, who's been the main writer for the rules and stuff. And Silver Phoenix has been in charge of doing all the artwork. So I could send you a couple of pieces of art from it to tease the people, but that's the board game.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's one of them. Another board game I'm working on is known as the Ultimate Adventure of the Cockrell's Fist.
Okay, go ahead and hit us with it.
All right. You ever play D&D?
Yes, I've played some.
Yeah, imagine a D&D type universe, but it's my own twist. There's a little comedy mixed in with it. Imagine D&D meets Girl Genius meets Myth Adventures. So
Okay.
that's the universe of the Cockrell's Fist. Well, the Cockrell's Fist is one of those weird pub bars that there's an unspoken and sometimes spoken rule that you cannot fight in there. You could throw words at each other. You can have the darkest villain in that pub and the holiest paladin, and they cannot take blows against each other. And the way you fight is by telling a better story. That's true. So basically, these people go off to try to do all these adventures, come back, they tell the story, they try to outdo each other. They put all the treasure, in this bar. So this place is covered in treasure and goods. It's like trophies for people to show off, and a lot of dragons are jealous of the place, but even they can't take it over. They try to set it on fire. They can't. They can't do this. They can't do that. And the place is run by these 2 idiots. They are completely dumb. Like on intelligence, they might be 5 and 4 for intelligence.
Gee.
But when it comes to cooking, they're 20. So everybody loves food.
I like this.
And they don't charge.
That's Jesus. They are stupid.
Right. Because they just like hearing the good stories, and they love cooking, and all these people like throw all this treasure all the time showing off. They're like, oh, good, I can get buy a couple more cows. They're just idiots. Well, the waitress who helps to run things is actually the one who's kind of in charge, but behind the scenes, and she's actually the world's smartest woman. But she acts like a waitress who's a fighter, but in reality, she's a magic user. and she just pretends to be a fighter to throw everybody off. So she might do a magic spell where you're about to fight her, and then boom, she appears in front of you, swipes you, and then boom, you're covered in pain and agony, and you think you're dying. And then she'll have a friend of hers who plays with the trick, who pretend to do a spell to heal you, and then she'll do another spell to erase what she did, and then you're healed. So everybody thinks she's this, this blessed fighter from the gods, and it's all trickery. It's a lie.
I love that. Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
dude, you're coming out with some bangers.
Yeah. And we're also creating a religion. A religion of ganache. Ganache. It's imagine this orc who's so dumb, instead of being evil, he became a paladin because he was like lopsided on the head, and he was left for dead, because this thing is useless, so let's toss it away. And some poor monks felt sorry, and they raised him. So he's this holy paladin who has gotten a flock, a real sheep, and so he won't ever let anything happen to the flock. If he sees that sheep are going to be slaughtered, he'll bust up the place and save the sheep to become part of his flock, because everyone needs a flock. He's so dumb. He's Gunthor. he's totally idiot, and the gods tend to like bless him in like weird luck. So whenever bad guys try to fight him, like horrible stuff always happens to him, and don't understand why. And he's nice about it. He won't kill you. You end up killing yourself trying to kill him. But he has like a 9-foot sword type stuff. And so we're going to make religious pamphlets for him, so you can become part of the way of Gunthor. But the game,
I mean, that makes it even more. That's another development, because you could have all these people wanting to have this cool adventure. It's like, hey, what's better of an adventure than defeating Gunthor, the 9-foot sword carrying ogre paladin with a religion backing him? If I tell this story, no one's ever going to beat that.
Right. But because he's so blessed by the gods, it's practically impossible to beat him, because basically he has like level 10 jinx. So, you try to fire an arrow and it'll miss him. You swing a sword, he'll just barely like knock it off, and he'll just push you away. You're like, and you say, and you know how like the Addams family get everything wrong? Like, he must have to go to the bathroom. That's why he's running so fast away from our house. I mean, that's how he thinks. He always misdescribes emotions and reaction. Like these people are being hunted by other orcs, and he ends up, this kid falls down running, and he just picks up the kid. He chases after him like, "Oh, you lost part of your flock here." And they're like, "Oh, don't kill him. Yeah, we'll fight you." And throws rocks at me, and they'll say, "No, you hurt her. I mean, you might snap her neck." And he's holding it in a way that looks like he's going to snap her neck. And he just puts her down, and they're like, "Oh, what's going on?" And then like other orcs come, and they get all upset. And it's almost like a cross between Gru, the adventurer, and Dudley Do-Right.
Yeah, no, I can see the comparison.
Right.
Y'all got some really good games coming up. How long does it take to come up with something like this? Tell us the process about that.
Well, games could probably take about a year to really do. You may come up with the idea, like, oh, this might be really cool. And then it's like, okay, what rules are there that might work with it mechanic-wise? All right, what can you do to change the rules enough so it's yours, so you're not stealing from someone? Or are the rules open source, or are the rules public domain? For example, Ultimate Adventures of the Cockrell's Fist is a dungeon crawl. So that's it. However, I have a comic book based on it. So I'm coming out with a comic book so you can become, oh my God, I love these characters. And I'm planning to do it as a web series, with the first issue being a hard copy, floppy. And, we'll see. Yeah. Yes. I got some drawings.
Need a copy.
Yeah, I could sneak you some drawings of like Ilka, who I almost have a crush on because she's just so crazy and she's left-handed, you know. And so we got an interesting cast from the comic book, and the game is basically in a alternate world, where the same characters are there but different. They're not like evil and good. They're different. You remember Fringe when they had alternate and things like that?
Yeah.
Imagine. So basically, the Cockrell's Fist world is an ancient medieval type world where magic is strong and great. And in the game, The Ultimate Adventures of Cockrell's Fist, the altar world is a world like 100,000 years in the future. And magic has died, but it's coming back because everything is infected with spores. And the spores' waste material is magic. So,
Okay.
and they're immune and they're allergic to technology. So it's some weird stuff. So that's what's up. And then I got two other games I'm working on too. So it takes money to do it. Oh my god. And that's not even dealing with the comic books. Comic books on average cost about, if you don't draw it all yourself and do everything yourself, comic books realistically cost about 10 grand to do per issue.
Jeez, that's a lot.
Well, yeah. Well, if you pay the artist a fair wage, a living wage, which I mean, and okay, here's my philosophy behind it. Okay, if you're a writer, a really good, competent one, and you're not doing, like real research, like Brian K. Morris, who's just a genius, he would do research on, the historical comic books. That could take a while. But, doing a normal bash bang comic book, horror book, might take you 8 hours, like a full day to write your book, maybe 2 days. Now, let's say that you work a full-time job and you stretch out the working on a comic book, that 8 hours over a full month's period, like a half hour here, a half hour there. Will you starve?
Not necessarily, because you got that full-time job.
Correct. Now, so a lot of times writers are willing to work on spec, and I'm comfortable with that because they don't starve. Now if all they're doing is writing everything on spec, that's a different story. But let's say you wanted to write a comic book and we were working together, and you knew that I didn't have funds. Yeah, we could work on something like that. You're working with a friend. Now, an artist, on the other hand, that's a different world, and I'll tell you why. An artist, on average, may spend a minimum of 120 hours to do a comic book. Now, how much is 120 hours in a month?
For a work week, that's a 40-hour work week. That's 3 weeks.
Well, yeah, 40. Yeah. So 40, 80. So let's say it takes 160 to really do it. So 40, 80, 160. How much time is that? That's a full month, correct?
Yeah, it's a full-time job.
Right. And if that artist is working on spec and they don't have like a wife who's wealthy or a husband who's wealthy, who's like, oh, okay, you can do that, or some other means of background support, like they're a trust fund baby or lotto winner or something, or they're in college where
They ain't gonna make it.
No, they will starve. And that's why, people are asking me, why am I so infrequent with my comics? Because I save up the money, I scrimp and save, Silver Phoenix does, and after my mom puts money in, when we can, or friends or things like that, or Kickstarter. And then here, it's like, here you go, artist, here's some money, and draw the book. And then, about 1 to 2 months later, I have my book. And then in the old universe, in 1990 universe, or 2019 universe, I would go to conventions and sell the books. Now, I'm going to tell you how tough it is, because I'm lucky because I rep some talent who worked on Disney films, who worked on who got Emmys for their work on Warner Brother TV shows, or even worked on Nickelodeon shows. So I'll call them up, and because I'm repping them, we get 2 tables or something. But the normal world for a normal comic book artist, and this is why it's so tough and difficult, is let's say you do the book yourself, okay, and you have whatever background to do it, and it might take you, quarterly to do the book. Writing it's easy, but doing the art takes all this time. So you might, if you're lucky, come out with 3 books a year or maybe 4. But let's just say it's a second conversation. So on average, it takes you 4 months to do a book. Now, a normal convention, tables are usually around $200, for a dealer's table. Artist tables are a little different. They might range from 50 on up. But if you're doing something out of town, you got to drive there, so that's fuel. You got to get a hotel, so that could range let's just say $100, and fuel is $100. So that's $200 right there. And let's say food, another $100 for the weekend, or $50, depending on how you eat. So let's just say $300, and then your table. So let's go with the dealer table route, not the $50 route. So that $300 is now all of a sudden $500. And here you're selling these books, these little pieces, these floppies that, you're selling them for $4. Now, unless you own your own printing equipment, which, some people are lucky to, you're going to be paying about $3 per book. So in essence, you are only, you are with your books, you would have to sell roughly 500 books to break even. And on average,
and that's just breaking in on the convention itself. That's not even paying off the 10K.
Correct. And then it's trying to get a fan base, trying to get people to join their mailing list. And then it depends on the size of the convention. So, a lot of times these will be lost leaders, and the artist might be able to make their money doing commissions. So, for example, the commissions, they might be $25 a pop. So to make that $500, that's 20 commissions. So, most artists don't have the speed like some of the pros that I work with. It's just because it is what it is. And so that may take them part of a month to 2 months. So in reality, they, have this difficult time, and they're breaking even. And they can't quite make it a full-time job because they may have to do a full-time job to, do this, which they hope to become their full-time job. But this is why it's so rough. And then on the flip side, let's say they decide to make it a free book, a web comic. People might not feel inclined to throw money at it. They just like the fact that it's free and it's coming. And depending on how their business is and how they collect mailing lists and things like that, it can be very difficult. So
why even do it? That sounds so difficult. Just do commissions. So why even do it?
Because for me, I love the medium. I love getting these stories out. And when I go to a convention, I may have 10 or 12 titles. So now, and I print in very high volume. So let's say that, you've done 5 books. And with these 5 books, you're selling them for $4 and you make $25 each time. And your cost, because you printed such high volume of books, your books, like I would print 10 to 20,000 books each time, and just have a huge storage of them. But so let's say my books are costing me 50 cents, and I sell them for $4. Well, instead of making $1, I'm making $3.50. So let's say that I have a set of 5 and people want to buy them or things like that, they'll often buy the more books. So that's $20 a pop. No, 5 times 3. Yeah, that's 20. So that's $20 a pop minus 75 cents. That's $1. 25, 19, 18.75. So now you're making 18.75 a book. So 18.75 divided by 500. Let me just do this real quick. I'm just trying to, I'll run it back up to the 20. So that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So basically, with about 30 sales for a whole convention, you actually break even. So it's attrition that can help you make it. And if your book is good quality, if you're able to develop a fan base, if it's one of those books that people enjoy online, they may support your book at conventions. You know, it's hoping, and your commissions on top of that. So if you have sold, let's say 50 sets of 5, 10, 15, 20. No, 25 sets. Yeah, 25 sets. No, 50 sets. Yeah, I'm right. 50 sets. Like 50 customers, which is possible for a whole weekend.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Right. You know, depending on the size of the con and demographics. So you've broken even with your table, and let's say you do sell 20 commissions again, you know, on top of that. With the 20 commissions, that's then pure net profit. So at $25 with 20 commissions, you know, that's 200, that's another $500. So, okay, you know, that extra $500 working that full-time job and things like that, that now starts to work. And if you become savvy with Kickstarter, then you start to get into larger figures, and then you start to develop a real fan base. So some of these people want to meet in person, sign stuff, and you'll have different stuff or more stuff or stuff they haven't seen. Then you may become very, very viable. Or if you do a lot of conventions, or you're able to charge more. Like, let's say that you become so popular, you charge $50 for the same commission, but it's because you're so busy and it's worth it. Or let's say you could sell $100 a commission. Like, I have some friend artists who their bare minimum is $100, and people will throw it away like candy, you know, like wanting it. And I knew an artist who $100 a pop sold 60 drawings and did them during the convention. He did 20 a day. I mean, it was insane watching the speed that they drew. And then they still sold another 60 on top of that, and they got it done in a leisurely place of about 3 weeks, which was between conventions. You know, they put a little more time into it and things like that. So in one convention, because of the fan base and whatnot, you know, he made 12,000 in one convention. Right. You know, and this would be at a larger convention where they have about 20,000 people. But, you know, you do 10 conventions like that. What's 10 times 12,000? 120,000.
Jesus Christ, 120K. I mean, I knew what it was. The audience is gonna be like, hey, didn't know, but no, like, but I'm just struck. It's like 120 grand. It's a lot. Like, you always hear about these starving artists. It's like, oh, these poor things can never get work or a job or anything like that. So they're dregs on society. But the way you're talking, once you get yourself up there, you're ready to set.
Yeah. And you know, for example, that one guy, you know, who I'm telling you about, I'm not going to say the name of the artist.
But, yeah. No, we try not to say names, but I know who you talk about.
Right. You know, but you know, and you know, like even Neil Adams, you know, or Mike Golden, you know, I mean, some others are at that type of level or higher. I know that Joe Rubenstein can get $5,000 for a complete drawing, like a Spider-Man one. You know, oh, I want you to do this cover. Oh, okay, well, it'll be $5,000. Okay, here's $5,000, and he will do a duplicate Spider-Man.
First of all, whoever this man is, not the artist, but the guy who's paying $5K, sir, like, can I be your friend?
Right, right. But then you start to get into different levels, and and at a fan level, yeah, $100 is a lot, but at the same time, you A, have a piece of history, B, you have an heirloom, which is amazing, and and
I
you
would
know,
say $100 drawing's heirloom. The 5K drawing's an heirloom for damn sure.
well, yeah, 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 but but it depends, like the demographics of the people and what they work. Like if
Yeah.
you're at a minimum job and you spend $100, that could be about 6 months worth of extra savings, depending on your status.
Oh
And
yeah.
and imagine that you have a piece from the favorite artist from one of your most favorite iconic shows or movies or comic books on your wall that others don't have, and that's like bragging rights, and that's just something beautiful and wonderful that the fans, that others can enjoy, and it's in some ways giving back to the fans. So getting back to that, that same person who, $100 a drawing, whatnot, and the speed that they draw. So in reality, they only have to work doing, drawings at home 3 days a week,
Ugh.
5 hour period, not an 8,
So
5 hours.
how do you so to the person that works that 9 to 5 for minimum wage and wants
Yeah.
to become that person who wants to live the dream of working 3 days a week doing something they love. How
Yeah.
does one get into that? Because especially with this pandemic, I myself personally and a lot of people I know are kind of tired of this 9 to 5 bullshit where originally we had the issue of, well, yeah, they can fire you anytime they want to,
Yeah.
but at least you
Yeah.
can find another job within the same pay range. But
Yeah.
now it's, oh, a global pandemic could shut you down for a year and you get a
Yeah.
$1,200 stipend and that's it. How,
Yeah.
how does one how does one get into that kind of line of work?
Uh, be born in the lucky sperm club? No, no. In all seriousness, I think it's really working hard to cultivate your fan base and building up on it and treating it with respect and working with crowdfunding. And when conventions open up again, be accessible to the public, and just work on basically mining in a fan base. If you have a steady fan base of at least 3,000 people who will
Which is not
regularly
a lot.
no, for the
That's
internet.
a county. That's a county in Alabama. 3,000 people is like a half a county.
Yeah. But if you had 3,000 people buy your book regularly at $4 a pop,
Woo! If you
you know,
put that out, if you put out a book once a month, that's 12K a month. Of course, you got to
right,
count for bills and shit, but that's still 12K. That's what people
right,
earn a
right.
year.
Right. Now 12K. Now let's do some math. 12K times 10 months, and let's say you take 2 months off. That again, you're at the $120,000 range. And if you do the 2 more months, $120,000 range, 40, $142,000. Now, of
Yeah.
that, of that, let's say you're doing the book by yourself and everything, and you're the one man show or one woman show or a team show. Obviously you got to pay taxes, but let's say out of that
But do
20,
you though? But do you got to pay taxes?
well, yeah, yeah. I
Well,
mean, obviously,
I know. You obviously have to pay taxes, but
sure.
do you know?
Well, what you do is you incorporate. So if you incorporate the
See,
government,
people don't know about corporations. They're just like, I guess I'll pay the 35% sales tax and individual
yeah.
person tax and just go on a while. But there's no. There's this thing called S corp inside of an LLC,
Did you
and
know
you
that?
just make all the money.
Did you know that if you're an S corp and your S corp, God forbid, goes negative in your bank account and you're charged all those overdraft fees, did you know that you could write off those overdraft fees as part of doing business? It's considered an expense.
Oh yeah, and then you yourself could be worth $1 million, and if the S corp goes bottom up, you don't owe anything because that's the S corp's money, not yours. That's
Right.
separate.
That's because you have a corporate veil. Now, difference between an S corp. This is in Illinois, and it's different in every state. But an S corp is a pass-through taxes. So let's say that the S corp is negative. Let's say you're doing the conventions, and you don't make that much money. And you're let's say that you do the conventions, and okay. So this is the other trick. This is what I love. So when you're starting out, you're an S corp, which means the taxes are a pass through. So let's say you're doing the conventions. It costs you $500 to do the convention. Let's say you do 10 of them. That's negative $5,000.
Yeah.
For the year. Now let's say that you make $12,000 for the year. Well, guess what? Because the S corp lost $5,000, you did not make, as far as the IRS is concerned, $12,000. You made $5,000 or $7,000. So that you're literally at a different tax bracket because of your S corp being negative and pushing hard with the comic and things like that. And you report your income. It's no big deal. But again, by having an S corp as you're doing the conventions, you actually have more money because at the end of the year, your taxes are you get a much larger income tax return, legitimately. So in reality, by taking the risk of the conventions, again, it's attrition. Again, it's you got to wait that long year. Instead of maybe having to pay $2,000-3,000 to the government, you get everything back because you legitimately spent all this amount of money, at the convention, and your corp is negative. Now you can do this for about 3 years. Then the IRS will say, "Hey, your S corp is a hobby." Well, guess what? You incorporate another one and another one and another one until you finally make it.
Yeah, nobody knows about that.
It's not common knowledge.
It is not common knowledge. I just all I know, money and business wise, is the Pythagorean theorem, and that doesn't even have to do with business or money.
Yeah. And now I'm going to do the opposite. Here's the advantage of paying taxes. And people are like, "Oh no. I'm going to flip the coin. Here's why paying taxes are good. 1, infrastructure is paid. 2, police are paid. 3, military is paid. 4, your government is paid. 5, your hospitals are paid. 6, grants are paid. 7, schools are paid. So on and so forth. 8, the street lights are paid. 9, the traffic lights are paid. 10, subsidies to the oil companies so that you only pay $2 instead of $10 is paid. So on and so forth. So in reality, if you earn well enough with it, and it's okay to figure out the tax law to be at your advantage. It's not illegal, and it's meant to do that.
Exactly.
If you're smart. If not, then that's fine. But by paying taxes, you are actually a hero, a national hero, because there may be others who are not as fortunate. So let's say you are that struggling comic person, and that you are smart enough to do the S corp, and you're able to, basically get back your taxes. Let's say you get up to 30,000, and for your full income, and you're still able to get your money back to a point. Let's say you get up to 100,000, and okay, you're paying taxes, but it doesn't hurt. Let's say you get up to higher amounts. You may be really helping out the infrastructure in your town. You may be able to donate to a wing in a library. You may be able to help build a hospital. You may be able to, do all this other great charitable work, or make scholarships for people who want to follow a similar career, or a whole bunch of philanthropic things that you can do. Or you can be greedy and keep it because it's your money. It's not anyone else's. So,
And in all honesty, you probably want to be making enough money to where you need to pay taxes.
right, right, because then, for example, when, and I've had friends who, have been very negative, as in financially, like, they got nearly homeless for a little bit. They were staying from friend to friend. Their bank accounts were closed because of negative. And then something hits, something goes right, something goes well. And instead of being arrogant with it and thinking they're king boo blah, they treat that money with respect. They treat it as a lover, as a best friend. And, they put them on a certain amount of way. They reinvest. They might buy real estate. They may, help it to grow. All these other positive things that you can do. Or they get someone competent to help manage that money. For example, a great feeling is your car breaks down and you can easily afford to repair it, and you're not hurt financially. It just is. And imagine by making your art, you get to that point where your car breaks down and it just is. And it doesn't hurt. It's annoying you pay it, but it doesn't hurt. You're not stressed. You're not concerned about how you're going to eat. Yeah.
Because and I can't remember, I think maybe it's the New York Times, but I remember an article released about 2-3 years ago, real famous article.
Yeah.
Like 68% of Americans could not afford the $500 emergency bill.
Yeah. And that is a very frightening world to live. I mean, for example, it would cost to drive down to Alabama right now, if I were to get in the car with the Prius that my friend is lending, if I were to do that, would cost in fuel round trip about $300. And right, and to some that's like, oh my God, that's impossible, or oh my God, that's a month's worth of utilities, or oh my God, that's that.
That's utilities and food for some people down here.
Right, and that could be a year's worth of savings, depending on your income. Right. I mean, I remember a friend of mine brought me to a community in the Delta, and she actually had me leave my wallet at home and just have about 20 in cash on me and just my ID. And she, had me just leave everything at home, which was weird, where I was staying. Because the people making $200 in a year is considered good money. That's how tough it is for some of those people in the Delta. And we got some business done, and some art done, and it was going to cost like 20 to do it. And here you go, here's cash, got it done. It's a neat piece of art and things like that. And to them, getting that $20 was like you or me getting $200.
Yeah, there ain't no poverty. There ain't no poverty like Delta and Appalachian poverty.
Yeah.
Them old mining towns, they ain't no poverty like that. That's poverty.
Yeah, it was stunning seeing it, and humbling too, very humbling. And it's something. You don't make fun of the people. You don't ridicule them. You don't pity them per se. You just give them the decent respect of being equals as human beings. And when you do that, it's amazing how well you're treated.
Yeah.
As it should.
Yeah.
And
it is.
Oh yeah. Kat, what are you doing? Why are you like chewing on the chair? You're weird. It's like stood on the chair, put your face on it, and chewed on the damn chair and ran away when I looked at her.
Oh, yeah. Well, on that somber note, man, I think that's where we can call it. It's been great talking to you, man.
Wow,
If it,
so different than the other one. Why I got into comic books, I gave you my life story.
I know, I know. Look, man. If I hadn't have ruined it with my 30-minute montage, we'd have got into it. But
Oh yeah.
we are both busy men, and it is bedtime. It is bedtime
Yeah.
for some of us.
Well, this has been a blessing. Thank you. Those who believe in the Holy Lord, I wish that may the Lord smile on you and continue the blessings. Looking forward for a Merry Christmas. If you happen to be of a different faith, may you be blessed with your beliefs, and do your best not to cause harm, but to make somebody else's day better, because they may end up making your day better.
All right, man. That's the good words to end it on. All right, everybody. Charles Moisant, go ahead and follow him. Silver Phoenix on Facebook. Charles Moisant on Facebook as well. Instagram, I think it's Silver Phoenix.
CDM, Silver Phoenix, or something like that.
CM.
Yeah.
CM Silver Phoenix. All right. We'll talk to you later, man. It's great been having you on.
Bye.